Hi, my name is Michael G, and have another video for you. And this time we're going to go into both men and women. We'll start with men don't lead with money or simping, and for the feminine side, women don't lead with sex or makeup. Now, let's start with the men. What do men do when they lead with money? Okay, so they pretend they have the money. They have a car they can't afford. They have a watch they can't afford. Clothes they can't afford. And all this is either on credit, maybe some purchase, but mostly you're buying on credit. When you pretend to have money, you're going fishing, and your hook is the dollar sign. So now the fish is coming. And in the eye of the fish, this is what it's going to look at. All right? This now, I'm going to make one for, for the men's side too. So this woman is being not promised, but enticed with money. So the women that are enticed with money, they will use their looks to get that money too. So it's kind of goes together. In fact, the funniest thing was someone said to Melania Trump once about his money, like she wouldn't be with him if he didn't have money, and Melania actually said a good answer. She wouldn't be with him if he didn't have money. She said that he would not be with her if she wasn't beautiful. Now you can have money, and for the woman you can be an attractive woman, but don't pimp out that aspect of yourself. Don't lead with money, because if you're going to lead with money, then that means the money becomes your identity. Okay? Don't lead with the money. The woman that you're going to get who's going to bite on that is eventually you're going to label her as a gold digger. But the funniest thing is, if you don't have the money, you're labeling her as a gold digger. You're saying that you're broke. you know, you know. Don't expect her to be this wholesome flower when you're flashing the cash. If you're flashing the cash, you're attracting that type of woman. That's what you're doing. You're attracting that type of woman. So that relationship that you're going to have now is that now she's going to expect to get paid. Not paid as in prostitute, but she's going to expect that you're going to have the bag. She wants the bag. And your relationship with her, now let's say she's very attractive, because a lot of the women that are very attractive, it's easier for them to go after the people with the money. If you don't believe that, then look at all the athletes. You always see a very attractive woman next to him. You always see a trophy wife with a guy who's winning or making power or doing something. But look what happened with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. She was actually a covert narcissist in that relationship. And being the covert narcissist, she was going after the bag. Oh, it looks like my battery's going to die soon. I'm only 4 minutes in. So I'm going to have to charge this and make another video. Okay, so men, if you're going to lead with the money, you're going to get the fish or the woman that the money is the top priority. In her sacrificing her identity for the money to go after your bait, you're not going to like the person that she is inside. She'll end up popping out a baby or two, and now you're on the hook forever. Or at least 18 years to pay for that kid. And let me tell you, you do not want to you think you're catching her, she caught you. She has a bigger hook if you think you're going to catch her and leading with the cash. If anything, you should play down the money. Don't wear the super fancy watch. Don't wear the super fancy clothes. Don't drive the pricey car, because all of this is going to scream money, and you're just going to attract her. And let me tell you, if you're attracting a woman and you're using that as the hook, it's not like you're attracting the good woman who happens to see the money. No, that's not going to happen. You're going to attract the gold digger. And if the good woman, let's say you happen to talk to the good woman and she knows that you're leading with cash, she's going to dump you. She's going to tell that your identity is wrapped up in the money, and she's not going to want anything to do with you. And this is the woman that will be your life partner, or someone that you can actually have a fantastic life with. So it's very important for the man to not use the money. Now, let's go to simping now. Why not to simp? Because if you're simping, now you're replacing power that you don't have with what's one nice way to put it? You're giving the feminine emotion. You're giving the feminine attributes to the woman. Let me turn this over. When you're simping, this is the woman. What you're doing is you're kind of showing her how big your heart is, or something. You know, you're holding your heart, and your head is smaller. She doesn't see you. You know, you're handing your heart by doing things for her. So now you put her on the pedestal, and now you're leading with simping. You're going to be Mr. Friendzone. Friendzone. You're going to be Mr. Friendzone. You'll be her friend and everything, and you'll cry with her over all the guys that dumped her or whatever with her. And you don't lead with simping, because the simping takes away and robs your head, robs your identity. You are not at the equal level. Now, let me show this to you in a bigger way. And this is actually pretty funny. The sun is big. The earth is small compared to the sun. And then there's the moon. Okay? All life comes from the rays of the sun. This is supposed to be the man. This is the feminine. Earth is the earth, right? Feminine. Female. Earth. This is the moon. When you simp, you become the moon. Because now you're orbiting the feminine earth. You don't give light. You have no light to give. The best you could do is pretend you have light. This is the relationship between a simp. The simp becomes the moon. The woman needs to get light from the man. And I hate to tell you guys, but you got to do something in life. You got to get off that chair, get off your computer, and make something of yourself. Because then you'll have man identity. Because if you don't have man identity and power, and you can't overpower the woman with the light, then you're going to simp and become the moon. Now, I know this kind of sounds like a little out there, but it's not. Because everything is connected. Everything follows the same male and female principle. The Bible says, let us make man in our image, male and female. You have a masculine head, and your torso is female. This is the masculine part of our body. This is the female part of our body, or feminine part of our body. The man is supposed to give off light, and the light is truth. This is what, the more truth, more light the man gives, he becomes more attractive. He becomes more useful. Because the woman would need a man to be useful, because if she's pregnant, you know, who's going to pay the bills? So women are at a disadvantage because of the pregnancy. For them to bring forth the child, she needs a man that can pull things together, figure things out. When she reaches for the man, she needs to see the man is there. And even if you got, like, let's say, your work life and thing and figured out, but you're still simping, she doesn't see you as light. She sees you as a moon. And what happens when the moon, sometimes the moon gets in the way of the sun and it blocks out the sun. And then half the time you don't see the moon. During the daytime you don't see it. So when does the moon come out? When everybody's sleeping. You want to do things in the day, you want to be in the light, you want to have power and radiate. Don't put yourself in a position where you're telling the woman or the earth that you're the moon. Because the moon now is subject to the earth, whereas the earth is subject to the sun. And life comes from the earth. The moon is cold. No atmosphere. Cold, no atmosphere. There's no life there. So the woman does not see you as the man. Does not. Stop simping. Stop simping. I'm going to make another video after this, after my battery charges, on the woman, because I don't know if the battery is going to go because it keeps flashing the red light. If I got enough time, I'll start on the woman, and then I'll do a video on what men should do. Okay, let's start on the woman now and see how far we get. Okay, so now, women don't lead with sex or makeup. Now here's why. If the woman uses the sex appeal to attract men, so she's looking hot, boobs are hanging out, like lots of makeup, what will happen is she will get a lot of guys looking at her. And for her, when she gets all these guys looking at her, she is going to choose the hottest guy, which is Chad, or the money guy. The money guy, whose identity is money. She's going to be picking across these two. What she won't get is the person that she could be with and enjoy the time. She's going to be pining for the hot guy, and she'll get stuck with the rich guy. And why I say stuck? Because in their 20s, the woman chases Chad. And then in their 30s, they're no longer looking for Chad, but now they're looking for the money guy. Now, when they settle with the money guy, the offspring of these children, she doesn't like them. The offspring of the money guy can create your next group of MGTOWs. It's really crazy. Because she didn't bond with the man. She bonded with the money. The woman now in her 20s will only see Chad. In her 30s, she'll see the money guy. And the good guy, not the nice guy. The good guy, masculine. And don't listen to what they're talking about on TV, that the guy with the Bugatti, that's not the masculine guy. That's the shared fantasy sold to the attractive women. That's a shared fantasy. The Bugatti guy, the guy that's got the super expensive car, it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy. And if you fall into the fantasy, then you're going to end up resentful. You're going to be a resentful woman or angry. You know what you can tell these women too? Sometimes if you look at their lips, they get shriveled up. They get like these angry lips as they get older, and they have cold hearts because they're trying to live that shared fantasy. So the good masculine guy is invisible to those women. And let me tell you, if you don't pine for them, you'll be in a better shape. If they don't see you, you're in a great place, because you hook up with them, you're going to have a problem. In fact, I tell you what, if you go to a nightclub or bar, if a guy goes to a bar or a nightclub, and it's like the worst place for a guy to go, because it's just designed. If a guy goes to a bar or nightclub, this is Chad's ground. This is the Chad and the hot women ground. If you're going to be interested in a woman in this nightclub, you want the one that is out of place. You do not want the woman that is like the best dancer there, the hottest dancer, because she's there all the time. And after you get together with her, she's going to go there. Girls' night out on Fridays. You don't want that girl. You don't want to be anywhere near that girl. You want to stay far away from that girl. So the women that lead now in the bar, and they're the ones that, again, they're leading with the sex appeal and the makeup. When they lead with the sex appeal and the makeup, they're only going to be choosing the guys that kind of skim to the top, the hottest, or the ones that have the money. This becomes their prison. Now, one thing about the makeup, the next day, you look like a totally different person. Different person. And when you look like a totally different person, what happens is when the woman does use the sex appeal and the makeup, her identity now is wrapped up, being covered up. So her true identity, she's not herself. It's this pretend shared fantasy. It will make her insecure. It'll make her miserable, because now the upkeep, it depreciates. Our looks depreciate as we get older. And the women that built on sex appeal and also the makeup, it affects them the most. And then they'll get into their 40s, and they're going to want to recapture that, and they might cheat on you. They might cheat on you in their 40s to try and recapture that. Paulina Polkovolka, whatever her name is, that famous model, like one of the most attractive models back in her day, she got a divorce. She was divorcing from Rich Ocasek before he died, taking care of him, and then he died, and he didn't leave her any money, so no money. And he said that she abandoned him, because I think that she probably gave him some ultimatums, and it's pretty weird. It's pretty weird, because now she's doing this big tour about the woman that she is, and how she found herself, and she shows herself now in negligees in her late 50s. And she's dating in her late 50s. Now, she's an attractive woman. But, nobody wants to see her in negligees. She's not in her 20s and 30s anymore. Her modeling days are done. They're done. She's trying to recapture something in her 50s. And here's the interesting thing. Rick Ocasek met her, and she lived at this apartment. I might have said this story before. Met Paulina in this, and she was living in this apartment, I think, from 17 to 19. She met Rick Ocasek, who was already married to Suzanne Ocasek. So he left her. Now remember, this is a powerful guy. She's super attractive, so she can have a lot of guys. She's 17 to 19. At 17 to 19 and that attractive, you ain't no dope. You know what you're doing. She went for the bag. With Rich Ocasek for how many years? In her 50s, divorces him. He dies, and then she, after that, she gets a new apartment, which is across from the same apartment she had when she was 19 years old. She went in a total vicious circle. She started in modeling in this apartment, and now in her 50s, and she's back in the same apartment. Her life cycle is a vicious circle. She doesn't know this. She has no idea that she's in this vicious circle. And what does she do? She's sitting on some stool in an interview, and she starts removing the articles of her clothing. Why? Because she's trying to capture something that the most attractive woman, you'd think that she would be, had her day and she'd be confident that I'm done now. She's not done. In her 50s, she still has the same insecurities and now magnified even more. Because as she said, she could be talking to some guy and a 24-year-old walks by and the guy goes, you know what, I'll be right back, and goes chases the 24-year-old. She created, and now when she talks about Rick Ocasek, all the media never talks about Suzanne and talks about how Paulina was betrayed. But Paulina forgot to mention, nobody's talking about in these interviews that Suzanne was married to Rich Ocasek first. So the plight of these women that use the sex appeal and they use makeup doesn't end well. We can see it in one of the most known, beautiful models in the world. And she is back to where she is now when she was 19 years old. Like taking her clothes off or trying to get attention by taking off her clothes. For what? For what? Her day is done. That ship has sailed a long time ago. But she wants to recapture it. And why? Is because when she started her path with the sex and the makeup with Suzanne, it put her in a bad place. So she had this shared fantasy and lived it out for all these years, and then she ended up now taking her most of her clothes off on a stool. You'll see these videos. They're easy to find. Don't lead with the sex. Don't lead with makeup. If you're a guy going to the bar, look for the girl that's out of place. And for the women, you see Chad, and you see the guys flaunting the money. These are both hooks. If you're the good woman, will stay away from Chad and stay away from the money, because this is the serpent's hook. And why we know that is because the love of money is the root of all evils. The root of all evils. Adam and Eve. The desire of Eve is what got Adam and Eve separated from God. Separated from the infinite I am. In fact, let me pull that out because it's really interesting where this ends up. Okay, so we go to Genesis 3:10 because that's where everything happened that went south. 3:10. All right, we don't have much time. Didn't die. What's the first thing that Adam said after God approached him after they ate the fruit? Where art thou? Let me go to the beginning. And Jehovah God calleth unto the man. Now this is Jehovah God. This is Yahweh God calleth unto the man. He says, where are you? God doesn't see him. Remember, light doesn't see Adam. He's no longer part of the light. Now he's got darkness. And he saith, thy sound I have heard in the garden, and I am afraid, for I am naked, and I hide myself. You see, we're separated from truth. This is the beginning of artificial intelligence. So, men and women are looking for the craziest things now because they have been fallen from the fruit of the serpent. So, Chad, yeah, there he goes. Chad and money could be the serpent's hook to catch the women. And sex appeal and makeup, remember, she's hiding who she is. Sex appeal, the desire, trying to get the desire, and the hiding herself is the hook to grab the man. You have to build your inner self. You have to reconcile who you are. Know yourself first. And to know yourself, to be in your body without being hiding, is to live in truth as much as you can. To live in truth. You know, if you don't have a lot of money, don't pretend that you do. If you don't have a perfect face as the woman, don't sit there and put tons of makeup on, because you're going to be fooling yourself, and the more makeup the women use, it actually ruins their skin as they get older. It ruins the skin. You got to be real. Because if you're not real, whatever is hidden will fester. And whatever is hidden in the depths, like things that happen in the depths that we hide, we cover it up, we put it deep inside the body, this grows. And what happens is this grows and it comes back up to us. And when it comes back up to us, we have to face it. And it becomes worse. It becomes worse. It's like you cut your toe and you don't treat it, and there's like a splinter in there, and if you don't treat it and get that splinter out, that splinter festers in there, and it gets all kinds of bacteria, and then from the bacteria it swells up, fills with pus, and then after that the pain from that starts shooting into your head, saying, "Oh my goodness, I got to deal with this now." Well, we can't be hiding. We can't be hiding things in the depths. We have to be in the truth. So if you're looking to meet someone, tell them the truth. You'll be surprised how powerful the truth is. Because when you tell the truth, a lot of people will leave you, and you want them to leave you. You do not want to meet the people that don't want to be in truth. Because if they're not going to want to be in truth, then you're not going to see who they really are. And they're going to give you a shared fantasy. And you're going to live with someone with a shared fantasy. We go through time. If we hide or lie, what happens is we create a reality that either goes to the depths of the hell or becomes in the psychopath, that when you get to this high, you're going to need to lie to people to keep that shared fantasy. And when you're down here, you're going to be lying to people because you think they're going to get you out. It's much better to be in truth and go through time. Your head is here. You can see your vision forward. And you can see the sunlight. The people in the psychopath stage or narcissist, they want to be the sun. So they're living their lie. And the people, the enablers and simps, are down here. The simps are in here too. The women are enablers and the men are simps. What they do is they lie to keep that person down. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll draw you what a simp or an enabling woman looks like. They're similar. This is what they look like. Both of them look like a heart, but they got big hairy arms that want to hold on to somebody. So if it's the woman, she wants to hold the man's head This is what they look like. Anyway, this is the feminist before we get the woman that has a lot of bodies, like I told before.